Hey, how are we doing today, Alan?
Doing great.
Today we're joined by Allen Kopelman, CEO and founder of Nationwide Payment Systems and the Merchant Maverick we all know and love from the B2B Vault podcast. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me on today, Ron.
Well, I'm sure most everybody's met you, if not at the shows, since you've been around for 25 years in the business. But why don't you, for those that don't know you, as well as the rest of us, give us a little bit of history about yourself and what you're doing over at both the podcast and at Nationwide.
So founded Nationwide Payment Systems back in 2001. So we've been in this game for a long time, the payment space, and we've watched it evolve from terminals and payment systems that ran through phone lines, to today we're talking about the next generation of payments being agentic commerce.
Right.
And we're watching, software also control what the business owners or merchants are buying today versus credit card processing. And we're in a world where technology and software is the driver, and we're also in a world where 2001, where did you go to find whatever it is you were looking for? Was the newspaper or the yellow pages. And today it's a fight. Or do you go to Google, or are you going and asking ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity,
right,
a question and getting an answer? So we're in an ever-changing world of technology today.
Yeah, well, it certainly impacted almost every business that I know of the last year when AI has taken over the response and provided every answer for every Google search, right? But Bing, Yahoo, wherever you go to do your searches, AI answers. I think in multiple studies I've seen anywhere from 72 to 78% of click-throughs that used to go to the website to find the answer is now answered on that first page, served up by AI, and nobody clicks anymore. So a minimum of 3/4 of all of our historical leads over the last 20 years that I've been doing SEO have dried up for all businesses. So it's certainly changed business for all of us, hasn't it?
Yes, it's definitely changed business. AI, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if people have been paying attention to what's going on with AI, I've talked about it on my podcast before.
Yeah.
But most recently, we're having AI shock and awe because OpenAI and Claude said, "Oh, sorry, you can't use agent mode anymore for $200 a month. Now you have to go use the API and start paying for tokens." And there's basically shock and awe on how many tokens people got used to using for basically $200 now is into the thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I joke around that I have to keep my Claude instance running 24/7 because it runs out of tokens every few hours. And then I have to, so, a tip that I've learned is instead of producing or doing any large work, I break it like eating an elephant, right? I break it up into teeny little chunks and then I keep it going. So if and when I do run out of tokens, it'll be like it resets in an hour and 20 minutes instead of others. I used to do it where it would spawn 23 agents, get my work done in 20 minutes and then reset in 5 hours and I couldn't even touch the platform. So now I have to break up my work in teeny little chunks just to keep it busy all day so I don't just continuously run out of tokens.
So everybody is trying to meter the tokens so that they don't, because at that point, if you're not metering tokens, are humans better than the AI or cheaper?
Right. Yeah.
So
you mentioned something the other day that you said on your podcast about AI and scam. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. That was something you mentioned.
Yeah. So we're seeing like the most cases of identity theft in the history of me being in this business. And progressively, it started a little over a year ago. And into this year, it's just horrible. And I tell everybody one thing. Some people ask me, "Oh, what should we hear from you?" If you do not have some kind of Credit Karma, Experian, Equifax, one of those which you get free, usually from a credit card company, your bank,
Right.
or Credit Karma is free for everybody. Everybody should be monitoring their credit. If you're
Yeah.
not monitoring your credit, you are in big danger.
Yeah.
And if you're a business, and that includes business owners. I've seen we've had business owners where I got a phone call from a guy one day, and he's like, my credit card processing doesn't work. I call up the processor. Hey, this guy's on the match list for fraud. What? How? I call the guy back. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He finds out his credit was compromised. Someone got his social. They got a credit card, spent 60 grand. Then they also got a merchant account, blew a merchant account up. And it took me about 2 weeks to get him back on processing because he had to go to the FTC. He had to go to the credit reporting agencies, dispute all these things on his credit, file a police report because there was obviously financial damage.
Sure.
Because he started getting phone calls from some unknown credit card processor. Hey, there's 50 grand of chargebacks. And the credit card company said, you got to pay your bill. That wasn't his. And, this is happening. I talk to people, and this is happening over and over and over. And we also see it in that we get applications in, and these applications are a complete scam.
Yeah.
So and let me tell you, I don't know what kind of AI they're using because Claude or OpenAI won't do this, but they are definitely making fake IDs. We found a little trick. We upload any kind of document that they send to us, especially PDFs, and we upload it to AI, and then AI will tell us when it was created, where it was created from. And we see like Chinese AI, GitHub pages, and all kinds of stuff. We don't even bother talking to these people.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll send us a bank statement and it won't even add up, or merchant statements that the math doesn't add up. And we're like, hey, man, you're a scammer. On the phone, yell at them.
Yeah.
Don't stop calling here. And they try, but they get merchant accounts because they have enough information sometimes to pass through automated systems, especially high volume credit card processors, and get a merchant account, start running a bunch of transactions. They'll get some funds. And then people are like, oh, well, why are they doing this? They're spending a lot of money. They're not really spending money because you can form a corporation, a couple $100, federal tax ID number is free, get a bank account from an online bank free, go make a website. Maybe that costs you $20 or $30 to buy the domain, and then go build an AI website in literally under an hour, right?
Yep.
That's crazy. You can go do that on GoDaddy or wherever, Shopify. They spin it up, and then boom, they're ready to go. And sometimes we'll look at these websites, and I laugh because telltale signs are they have the phone number with a plus sign in front of it. We don't use that in the United States.
Yep.
And the address is always a home, or they use some registered agent address.
Yeah.
Which is, and then that you ask them, oh, do you have all this inventory on file? They'll send you pictures. We'll upload it to AI. They come from Google that they stole somewhere. And it's just nuts what they're doing. And basically they can create a synthetic identity in a day or two and try to scam and get credit cards, maybe even try to get a loan, get a merchant account. So I had a dentist. I warned him about this, and I called him back. He called me about 4 days later. He goes, hey, I got like 4 credit card machines in the mail. What's the scam? And I go, the scam is those people also got access to the back end virtual terminal. People don't know what a virtual terminal is. If you're listening to the podcast, it's a place where you can log into the website and actually punch in the numbers and charge a credit card. So they go to the black web, buy a bunch of credit cards, run a bunch of transactions. If the credit card processor is not watching, they're basically doing what we call a bust out. and get the money into that bank account that they open. And then the money's transferred out to Wise or Relay or one of those companies, and then most likely going offshore.
Yeah.
That's the scam, but it's crazy. Like some of the, that people are not, and everybody needs to be careful, because even a consumer, they can be using your credit and your credit, and you're not even a business owner, but it's worse for a business owner.
Yeah.
And the other thing business owners need to pay attention to, I talk to many business owners. I'm like, how come your Google business page isn't claimed? How come your Yelp isn't claimed? And they don't claim those pages. And you need to claim these pages that are open on the internet, because those are ripe for the scammer to scam your business, because they will create a lookalike business and even use your address. And, we'll Google some of these scammers and we'll find multiple websites for the same business.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that a few years ago. Our website's 7,000 pages, and we found an offshore that literally copied different name, similar to Clarity Ventures, but different name offshore. They literally cloned every single page of ours and just spun it up as their own website. And there's no international body that we can go to and force them to take it down. Right. So,
well, you can go to the ICANN and say somebody copied your website and complain to them. Whether they do anything about it is, who knows? I mean, ICANN seems like an invisible company.
Yeah. So give us, with all of you said, I think most of our audience today are going to be ISOs looking for additional information, right? So tell us what it means to them. If I'm an ISO, does that mean that every single merchant application that I get, if I get it digitally and I don't know this person, do I need to run their statements and run their information through AI and have it tell me, hey, was any of this stuff generated by AI, or is this real? What prompt do you use, or is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, I think you need to do your homework and check these documents and make sure they're real. I mean, a lot of platforms just check like, okay, the social's good, the federal, they're getting a real federal tax ID number because they make a new corporation. They're not stealing Ron's corporation or Allen's corporation. They just go make a new one. Yeah. And then they file for a federal tax ID, and they have somebody's social security number. And also, you got to question things like, we got an application and the business is in New York and the guy's ID is from California. Like, okay, why? You don't have New York identification. You're having a business there. You have to just look at things and not make sense. But like I said, when companies are using automated platforms, they're just processing. They got people sitting in cubicles, boom, 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 boom. You got to take a minute and take a breath and, Google the address, who's at the address. You find a different phone number than the one they gave you, and you just have to just go, hey, sorry, boom, next. We see tons of them open up Shopify websites, and there's literally no reason why they shouldn't process through Shopify. So, there's certain telltale things. We don't even waste time calling them or asking them any questions anymore. Like we got so many fake apps, and that all the businesses were in New York. We started asking for their leases now. And we get the lease, and we verify, we make sure that that's the landlord. It takes time. Yeah. And then we call the landlord and make sure that that person is the person that's leasing the office or the restaurant or the retail store, because we've seen too many of these that were fake. Yeah. I mean, I used to be, you and I joked about this before we started recording. I used to be the director of IT at WordPerfect, right? And I used to tell people that would get these phishing scams, they get the email that says, this is Microsoft tech support, your machine's been compromised, click here, right? We all know that. And it's like, you know what? That might be true. But let's say, for example, I got an email, and I bank with Chase down here in Texas. Chase is everywhere, right? So I bank with Chase. If I got an email from Chase that said, hey, something with your bank is compromised, you need to click here, the first thing I would do is close that email,
and go straight to my Chase app and open my app and verify if it's right or not. And even if it is or not, and I still have a question, through the app, I would say contact whatever. And I would contact them through the app, through the exact phone number that I know is Chase, ask the question. They say, nope, that's fake, that's phishing. So never click on anything, never trust the info you get, because it could be, you have to validate the info, right? However
Oh
you
yeah,
do it.
there's so many. I mean, my email security blocks probably 30,000 emails a week that are phishing,
Right.
malicious, contain, bad, contain URLs that are have viruses in them and all kinds of stuff. And even for the podcast, I'll get things like, "Oh, we'd love to have you as a guest on our podcast."
Yeah.
And then I go, I see it in my junk, and put it in my inbox, and then I'll get a message. It'll say, "Yeah, this email contains a URL that's not good." So
Yeah.
delete. You just don't know what you're getting anymore when it comes to email. I've said a long time ago, Microsoft and Google, they control probably 90% of the email out there. There's other small players, but I think they should make everybody, do some kind of identity verification on all. If you want to have 10 email addresses, okay, you got to do identity verification on it. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard for, Microsoft, because let's say you have a website and you need 20 different email addresses. Okay, the owner of the company just verifies all of them belong to the company, and that's it. And it becomes a verified email.
Yeah.
And then then you can configure your email system to only accept verified emails. Simple. All the spam would be gone, junk would be gone, cold email, BS would be gone. All these scammers who are overseas sending millions of emails out every day trying to scam people with fake DocuSigns and all that.
Yep.
It's funny. One of my friends showed me one time. He's like, yeah, if you go hover over the email address sometimes, or you hit reply on it, you'll see that it's a different alphabet. It spells the word out. It might even spell your own name, but it's using a different alphabet, which I thought was wild. Yeah, he was like, oh, see this is a Cyrillic. I don't even know what that is. I think it's Russian.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh, and this one is using some kind of like English Chinese thing. And I was like, man, what are these people crazy? They got the time, all this time to do this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how they make their living, right? They scam other people and make a ton of money doing it. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. I mean, I follow one guy on YouTube, the guy with blue hair, Mark. He goes and scammer, whatever. He's like the scammer buster.
Yep.
And I don't understand if he can find these scammers. I don't understand how the U.S. government, cybersecurity, whatever, that they can't shut all these scammers down that he finds in India and Pakistan and all over the place that are just scamming people, getting them to call phone numbers up, thinking they're calling Microsoft, Yahoo, etc., Amazon, whatever.
Yeah.
And they can't get this stuff shut down, which is pretty crazy. I mean, because there's billions and billions of dollars. I mean, I get text messages. You did not pay your taxes. Click here to pay. You didn't pay a toll on the highway. You have a traffic ticket. You owe FP&L money. You owe this money, that money.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I text them back and I go, F off, just to see if they answer.
Yeah.
They don't usually answer. They're just sending out bulk messages. And I was hearing about that they're getting around it now because they're using a different protocol to send the messages. RCL, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? RCL?
I don't know. Yeah.
No,
I haven't dealt with that.
It's like another thing because you have SMS,
right?
Then you have text, and then there's another, and then you have iMessage, right? And some of them use iMessage, but some of these scammers use other technology to send out all these messages, and it's called something else. And I was like, man, that's just crazy. How are they getting away with sending all these messages out? And that's how they're doing it, because they're circumventing the system using iMessage, because iPhone,
Right.
has iMessage and all that. So you got to be really careful. Don't click links. Don't click links in emails. Don't do anything. But
Yeah.
these people, they're so good. They're fooling underwriters, salespeople. Everybody's hungry to make sales, right?
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, you're taking a loss.
Yeah. So what's on the checklist for the ISO then? I think the best one you gave so far is treat, unless you know the person or the business directly, treat everybody like they're trying to scam you. Just run them through your checklist. Be objective about it, right? You don't have to be a jerk. Just be objective about it. Run it through AI. Have it do an analysis on the documents that they've sent, and just ask it simply, prompt it, are any of these documents that were just submitted for an application fraudulent or AI generated? And just ask it, run it through it. Anything else you would recommend that these ISOs do to help protect themselves while they're signing up or trying to market?
They can also ask it for the metadata of because it'll tell you in the metadata
for the documents.
When the document was created and how it was created.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But I'm sure that the scammers are going to figure out that we're checking for that, and they're going to figure out how to adjust that metadata. They just, because they just have to do that. But it's, but the risk remains to the person, right? The consumer, the business owner, whoever. The risk out there is monitor your credit so you don't become a victim of this identity theft. And like I said, it's more important for business owners to do this, because once you end up on the match list, you don't know what to do. You don't know who to email. You don't know who to call. And then it becomes a complicated thing, and it could put your business out of business. I've talked to people. I haven't taken a credit card in 6 months. I didn't know who to call.
Yeah.
And then they finally found me, or somebody referred them to me. And then we go through all the processes of, they always ask me they go, why should I check my credit? I go, listen, go check your credit.
Yeah.
There's no way, if you're telling me you didn't do anything wrong, go check your credit. And then they'll see, because once these scammers get a hold of your social, that's it. And if you have all the, and if you're using credit monitoring, it's going to show that your social security number was compromised and it's on the dark web. And I don't even worry about my name, address, and phone number. I don't care. It's whatever. You can't get rid of that. I see these softwares, people say, oh, buy this and we'll go out and remove it from all these places. That's BS.
Yeah, they can't remove it.
Yeah, they can't remove it from the dark web. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably most of our stuff is out there and sold. We've seen these huge breaches that have happened. So our stuff's out there. But yeah, I've had the Experian app on my phone for, 10 years. I've been monitoring my credit. And one of the nice things that it has on there is it'll lock my credit. I remember, man, I don't know how many years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even longer, before I co-signed on my son's first car, but he wanted to buy it and start building his credit. So I went to co-sign, and they came back and told me, we can't do a pull on your credit. Your credit's locked. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I pulled up the phone and clicked the toggle that says unlock my credit. They pulled it. As soon as they were done, I toggled it back on. So it's great, because they can't even pull a credit check. They can't do anything on your credit if you lock it. So that's really good advice. Make sure to get it. The Experian app's the one I use. It works really great. And there's literally a simple toggle that says lock my credit from hard pulls. So nobody can check your credit or touch your credit or do anything. So
yeah, and and then to get on to some other stuff that we were talking about is what's going on in the world of, merchant services, and the biggest growth area we just had on our podcast, which dropped recently, Roger McNamara, the director of B2B payments for Visa. And whenever I talk to Roger, he always talks about this is $1 trillion opportunity, because less than 8%, 8% of B2B transactions are run through credit card processing.
Wow.
8%. So that means that there's 92% of these transactions out there not being processed on credit card. And additionally, from an ACH standpoint, on an ACH standpoint, while some of those transactions are being done through ACH, it's usually me sending the money to Ron or Ron sending the money to me. It's not through an ACH platform,
Right.
built that platform. So that's even a growth area.
Yeah.
And, so that's one of the things that I always talk about with B2B companies is, collecting money faster. And I think that everybody learned in COVID when nobody wanted to touch anything, right? And nobody wanted paper checks in the mail anymore, like
Right.
utility companies and all that. What did they do? They just started sending people a link. Click the link, make your payment. Click the link, make your payment.
Yep.
And everybody's a consumer, right? If you own a business, you're also a consumer, right?
That's right.
So you're a bookkeeper or accountant, you're a consumer also. So people got used to paying their bills like that, and people want to pay. People want to be good payers and pay. It's proven people will pay a bill. Like I have a company now. I owe them some money and I have to pay them. And I call up on the phone and I have to get some information from them. And they don't give me the information. I have to wait for the ACH information from them. And then I have to, email them that I sent them the money, a screenshot of it, and tell them the invoice I'm paying and all that, because I don't want to pay like whatever, 3.5% to give them my credit card.
Right.
And they don't even send a link to pay by the credit card, because if they did, I would just click the link and pay the credit card fee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care. I would just to do it. But, I'm making, it's just, why wait to get your money? And, you're better off. Like I talk to merchants and they're like, well, we give people 30 days. And I said, after 30 days, then you take the credit card. If you really look at it, you're hurting your cash flow.
Yep.
It's probably really costing you about 75 to 100 basis points. So let's say 1%. So you're losing 1% because you didn't have the money for 30 days.
Right.
Right. You didn't have the money for 30 days. We even have a calculator that we just put on our website. I can email you the link to it. That helps you calculate how much money you're owed. But if you get people to pay by link and you say, oh, let's say credit card processing is 2.5% to 3%. And you say, well, I want to charge my customers 2% and give them a free ACH, right? The customer who wants miles is going to pay by credit card. They want those miles. They want the rewards. They're going to pay with their card. And the people who don't want to mess with that, they'll pay by ACH.
That's right.
And they will do it. And they'll pay you faster. So instead of waiting 30 days to get paid, you're going to get paid within 5 to 7 business days. The other thing is people are busy. So if you have a link, they can pay you at night. They can pay you on Saturday morning.
Yep.
They can pay you from their phone. They can pay you while they're sitting on the whatever, in the car, in the train.
Yep.
Right. While they're whatever, you can get paid a lot faster. I mean, I know when I get a bill and there's a link to pay, I just click the link, boom, boom, and I go pay the bill. Yep. I probably pay it early or I schedule it. And I think businesses need to start thinking about like to improve their cash flow, right? Because money is expensive.
Yeah.
If you're using, because some people say, well, we have plenty of money. Okay, but you're using your money to be the bank for your customers, but you're not getting any interest from them. So why are you being the bank? Let the customer's credit card be the bank for your customer. Let them, and some people know how to time stuff. So they, instead of really 30 days, they're getting 40 plus days out of it. Because if they pay right on before their bill drops, right? Boom, they're getting extra time to pay for the next cycle, right? Yeah. And so let the bank be the bank. Don't be the bank for your customers. That's a big saying that I use all the time. Don't be the bank.
Don't be the bank. That's a great, Yeah,
because you can take your capital and use that to make sure you're not you don't have to borrow anything, right? Or touch your line of credit, right? Or touch money that you have in money markets or whatever, making money. You don't have to touch that money. You can just use your operating funds to buy more inventory, to pay more people to work in your business, and have that cash flow to accomplish all of that. So it's super important. And also, we talked about, the level 3 payment processing.
Right.
And it's super important to make sure that you're working with a compliant company that's passing level 3 in a compliant way. What used to happen was many of these gateways you would do the transaction, and then they basically would just push level 3 out on every single transaction.
Yep.
Or they would detect it's a business card and push it out on every business card. But now it's based on SIC code. So if you're a restaurant, you can't be pushing out level 3. Maybe if it's catering, you could, but
yeah, right.
Not sit down restaurant. So you can't just push out data. And that's what a lot of companies were doing. And you need to, and so a lot of gateways now have figured out, like, they have to detect that it's the right card, enter in the commodity codes, the SIC codes, boom, 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 boom. And they're actually pushing the entire invoice at the card schemes. So
Yeah.
sending the entire invoice through. So the credit card, Visa, well, not the credit card company, but Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover actually see like a whole invoice going through.
Right.
And
yeah, we've been doing that for 3 or 4 years on our solution. And one of the benefits of Clarity, and the reason we've been able to do it, is all of that additional data, especially with the new CEDP spec, right? All of that data is in the ERP, and Clarity is integrated with ERP. And that's half the problem with the gateways is they're not connected to the ERP. If they don't get the entire invoice, they're making up data. They're making up fake information, which is what we all used to do with level 3, right? With level 2, level 3, we used to be able to just fill in whatever acceptable fake data, and we were able to send it all up. But we actually connect into the ERP. So if we have to go back and pull additional information about the SIC or the order or the actual invoice, we're in the ERP. We can pull that original data and do that. And the benefit of that is we do it pre-gateway. So now you could go grab authorized.net that doesn't do level 3. And if you put it in pass-through mode, we can send up the level 3 and have the gateway pass it through to TSYS or whoever's processing on the back end to qualify for it now. And we have our hand in the cookie jar, if you will, to grab that data. So like you said, everything's changed. Every spec's changed. Everybody's trying to figure out how to get around all this fraud detection and everything else. So yeah, technology really is the answer, and better security is the answer. But yeah, I think AI is part of the answer too. Figure out what the problem is and then go have a chat with it and figure out, how do I better protect myself? How do I audit this? How do I, and use it and ask it questions. Use 2 or 3 of them. I mean, I've been using ChatGPT for however long, since 22 when it came out originally, and use Claude and Propensity, a bunch of them, Gemini, and I use them and test them against each other in different scenarios. Clarity has our own AI platform. I use it, right? And I test them all. And different AIs, just like graduates from, I always talk about AI like a college graduate with a master's degree, right? They got the basic 4-year degree and then they've specialized in something. So there are AI LLMs that are really good at images, AI LLMs that are good at finance, some, right? So every LLM is trained just like a college graduate, but they don't have any on-the-job training. And that's when you have to get in and really use it and start playing with it and run it through scenarios and figure out if it works for your scenario. Does it do what I want? Go try 2 or 3 of them and run a customer application through it and see what all 3 of them say about it, and see which one gives you the best information, the most accurate information. And then you got an answer.
Yeah, our platform, NPS1, coupled with smart invoicing, grabs all that information, because when you're going through your setup in our platform, you're putting in your business type. So we have your SIC code, we're picking up your commodity code, we're picking up everything that you're going to be sending. So when you do send an invoice to a customer, they're clicking to pay, and then all that data is going over. So
yeah,
we're doing that also, and it's really important to have. If you're going to save money, you're going to save enough money to pay for the right platform. And like you're saying, you're enhancing data on top of other gateways too, which is really, really good. So if somebody's using an authorized.net and they really want to have good level 3 data, they can couple it couple you guys in to do that.
Yeah.
And it's super important to see how technology works, and create a technology stack for a merchant. Yeah, I think when we talk about fake documents, I think the agents, because obviously things that get sent directly to a credit card processor, you can't as an agent, you can't control that, but there's tons of agents, right? And you have websites and you're getting phone calls or people are form filling.
Yep.
And you're emailing back and forth, and then you get these documents, and then your credit card processor is going to get mad at you if you sending in too many of these applications, and they're going to start scrutinizing all your good applications.
Yeah.
So you really have to develop a screening process.
Yeah.
And the next thing, like we were talking about when we talked the other day, when I was at the SCAA, Visa is talking about all this agentic commerce in the world of B2B. I had another meeting about it today, and we were talking about the same thing, how this agentic commerce is going to come to B2B, where these B2B companies, they're going to want to pay their bills through this, through some kind of automated system using virtual credit cards. And
Right.
I think right now it's like a coffee, it's a conversation like around the industry. It's a conversation happening like on the podcast, it's a conversation me and Ron are having, right? And then
Right.
These conversations are going to get into the boardroom, right? And people are going to say, oh, how are we going to do agentic commerce? And that's like the next thing that's coming at us. And that could be the next, multi-billion-dollar industry is, what company is going to start to support this, because the card schemes, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, they're already thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, so the discussions are starting to happen on the surface, right? And it's only a matter of time before things like that start to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a lot of great topics today. Was there any last thing you wanted to close off, and any words of wisdom you want to leave the ISOs today?
Words of wisdom. I always say figures don't lie, but liars sure can figure. It's one of my sayings that I use. I don't think I originated it. Probably somebody famous did. But I think you just have, AI is great. I tell everybody, if you're not using AI, start to learn how to use AI. Get a paid account, because your paid account, whatever you're doing in there is protected. When you're using a non-paid account, that information you're giving the AI becomes public for them to do whatever they want with it. Yeah. And, when you create something that you like, put it in project mode, you can help your merchants fight chargebacks. You can analyze merchant statements. You can analyze a spreadsheet. You can ask it to do a myriad of things to help you create a web page, help you to build a cost comparison thing to put on your website. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with AI. Yeah. And it's important to figure out how to use it without, you don't need to spend $10,000. You can get $20 a month. You can, and I say use more than one, just like Ron said. Ask it all kinds of questions. I had somebody who's a future that I recorded a podcast with yesterday, and that's one of the things we're talking about. And like Ron said, we hear about SEO, then you hear about AEO or AIO, and then GEO, and what does all this mean? All of that, that's how people are going to find you on the internet. So if you want to be found on the internet, you got to figure out what all that alphabet is all about. Yeah. And you got to figure out how you're going to use that to your advantage. And one of the things was kind of funny is that, and I learned this I've heard it from more than one person. Some people will say no, that's not right, but other people will tell you that it is right. Like we were talking about companies that like flood the internet with AI written web pages and put up, 100 pages a day on their website, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, those are the companies that are winning because they're not putting that up there for humans to read. They're putting it up there for the AI to read so that they show up in the AI, in the AI. The problem with that, no, there is a problem with it. If you're not reading any of it or putting any of it in Word and actually looking at what it is, because I did that a few times, just ran a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
You can come up with a bunch of mumbo jumbo that doesn't mean anything. So you need to really be careful with AI and what you're doing with it and how to do it. And, I mean, I learned about something called invisible schema. Have you heard about that?
Sure.
Ron?
Yep.
Yes. And when I was telling the guy about all these things I was doing, he was like, wow, you're way more advanced than probably 80% of the people out there. And I was like, I find that hard to believe, but it's true because big companies, move slower than smaller companies. Because a big company, they got to have a meeting, and then they got to have a committee, and then they got to have more meetings, and then they got to talk about it.
Yep.
Small company, you can make a decision. Boom. Okay, let's do this. Boom and go.
Yep.
And you got to build your presence because I don't know if the number's 70% to the AI for searching versus. I think when people search, if they're going to a specific website, they're going to Google. If they want a question answered, they might type it in Google and look at the answer, and then they're going to whatever their favorite AI is to get that, to go compare that answer and see what that comes up with. And that's how people are shopping today. That's how people are deciding who to do business with. Let's say you have a phone call with somebody. I tell this to ISOs, and ISOs should tell this to their sales reps. Every sales rep should have their own website. Because if you're to send somebody an email and it's like Allen@gmail.com, and then Ron says his, Ron@clarity.com, they're going to go, well, Allen doesn't look like a real company, but Ron does.
Yeah.
Super important to have that presence because they're going to go look at your digital footprint. Like, what does your website look like? It could be just a one-page website, but at least you have a presence and have a real LinkedIn profile. Don't just have a profile that's sitting there static. And believe me, some people that are nosy, right? Super nosy, will go look you up on your social media like Facebook or Instagram to go see like, okay, is this person posting anything that I should be worried about?
Yeah.
I'm doing business with, and the guy's guzzling beers or doing some, drunk, weird videos, and they're like, no, that's giving me the ick, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really think about like digital footprint. I heard somebody talk the other day in a talk, and they said when students were leaving this one high school, the principal got up and had everybody erase their Facebook page.
Wow.
And the reason they said they should erase their Facebook and their Instagram is that now they're graduating and they're going to be an adult and they're going to be in college.
Yeah.
And they're going to be looking for a job. And maybe all that stupid stuff you might have posted when you were a kid should not be out there on the internet anymore.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Right? Is that kind of crazy?
Advice.
Yeah, I just thought it was crazy advice. Or even like your graduate. I mean, you got people are looking when people go to do hiring now, they're using AI to analyze your resume.
Yeah.
So you need to take your resume and put it in AI and go, oh, if an AI is looking at my resume, how can I make it look better so I can get interviewed? You have to really think about this stuff. I'm going to interview somebody soon on my podcast from one of those AI resume analyzers.
Oh, nice.
Because I want to hear about it. And I think people listen about this stuff. That's what my podcast is all about. It's not just about payments. We always talk about payments with everybody. How do they take payments and things like that? And we don't pester people who are guests to do business with us. But we want to educate business owners and would-be entrepreneurs about what's going on in the world. And I didn't realize that that was actually going on. I heard somebody complaining in a video that they sent out 100 resumes and they said the AI is not getting them interviews. So you got to really think about how you're doing that. And also these companies, they're doing they're running a digital background check on you. So you can't really do a background check on somebody in AI because somebody told me you could. I went on OpenAI and I said, okay, look up all my information. It was like, no, it'll look up all your social profiles. It'll do that because it's some of the information is readily available on Google. Right. So it can do that. And then they're clicking through and they're searching through your stuff to see like, hey, is this person doing anything that we need to be worried about after we hire them? It's crazy, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I heard one of my friends told me about their kid got a job offer and then the job apparently was rescinded later. And when they called him back to talk to him, apparently they had followed up and gone through their social and saw them doing a bunch of stuff. I won't mention what it was, but saw how they behaved and realized that in a sales position that represents the company, that probably wasn't a good fit for the company, and they rescinded the offer. So,
yeah, it's crazy, you know, what's going on and how AI is changing. It's, you know, it used to be Google was the information highway, not anymore.
Yeah.
AI is the information highway now. Google is over on the side. And if you notice on Google, when you do ask a question, you're not even seeing like the first ranking website. It's down in the bottom of, you got to scroll through the AI until you get to it now.
Yeah. All the GEO, the generative answers from AI are at the top. And then typically, especially if you're asking any kind of question, there's the people also ask section. That's the AEO, the answer engine optimized answers. Usually right above that is one SEO response. So remember back in the day when we were trying to rank for the top page, position number 1 is now off the first page below the GEO, but right above AEO. And then there's the AEO, and then there's positions 2 through whatever. So SEO isn't dead, but click-through traffic for informational type searches is pretty much dead because AI is answering people looking for information. AI is answering all those questions now. So unless people are specifically looking for your product or anything that's conversional, they're going to get answered by AI. So like Alan said, you got to make sure to optimize your content for AEO and GEO and MCP. I did a big podcast on this, and if you went to Clarity Ventures website and looked at our podcast, I've got an AEO, GEO, SEO, and MCP podcast. I call it the 4
MCP stand for?
MCP is something multi-core protocol, something close to that. Basically what it is structure. If you think about it real quick, for example, when us SEOs would go out and I've got a part number 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a replacement for part number A, B, C, D, E, right? We just go in and go, oh, replaces, and then we put all these competitive part numbers and OEM part numbers. And for SEO, that used to work really well, right? So we'd put all the part numbers on there, and we call it keyword stuffing. We'd put everything on the page. Well, now the word replaces, we use that in the sentence. And so now when AI looks at the page and sees this replaces, it doesn't make sense because it's not what we like to call structured content. So now when I do that, especially for my commerce-based clients, I'm going to have a section down below. It's a new attribute, and it goes part number replacement or replaces part numbers, and that'll be a heading. And then I'll have all that competitive stuff. So now in a structured format, when AI comes and looks at this page, it says, oh, here's a section called replacements for part number 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 75 other part numbers. Now it knows exactly that all of this data isn't just data on the screen. It exactly replaces part number 1, 2, 3, 4 because I have a heading and a section. That's called structured content. AI can do something with that. And now I can rank when somebody comes up and says, hey, I'm looking for a replacement part number for 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a perfect match. And now AI is going to serve me up. And so you have to go in and rewrite your content. So typically what your prompt's going to be, you're going to go out there and say, I need my content rewritten and optimized for AEO, GEO, MCP, as well as SEO. Can you help me? And it'll give you structures, and then you reformat your content. I mean, there's so much. Right now, Clarity is investing 10 hours a week of doing nothing but rewriting and restructuring the 7,000 pages of content we have on our website.
Crazy.
To
That's a lot.
optimize for those so we show up for AEO and GEO.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out. And also adding frequently asked questions on all your pages.
That's the AEO.
Because the answer engine is looking at those. And you gotta optimize those for LLM so that the answers are optimized to be the questions have to be formatted in a way that the LLM is going to find them.
Yeah. Now what that is, that's called an
It's
FAQ.
it's literally crazy what's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. What you do is you write your HTML FAQs, like you just said on the page, for CRO, which means when Alan comes to the page and he's trying to answer a question, it shows up on the search engine on my page and Alan can see his answers and questions. Now for the LLM and for AI to see it, you have to take those and put it through a converter. You can go on the website and say, I need to convert my HTML FAQs to JavaScript for the Google FAQ snippet. That's what you're looking for. And it puts it in a JavaScript format. And then you put that into the header of the page. And that what considers it for the people also ask session. And that's AEO, consider for AEO. So it's called an FAQ snippet. And that's that hidden schema you're talking about. It's in the header, it's in JavaScript format, and you have to take what's on the page, the HTML FAQs that a person on your site would use to read and get their answers, and convert it to JavaScript for FAQ schema format and submit it in a header for that page. So it's a lot of work.
It's literally crazy. Like,
yeah.
I just say like, hey, going forward, you got to do this, you might not be able to go backwards, but moving forward, when you're redoing stuff, you redo it the right way.
That's right. Yeah. And the world's changed. So, well, Alan, thank you. We covered a lot of topics today. That was fun.
Yeah. I like talking, geeking out with stuff. So it's
thanks
important.
for joining the show. Yeah. If anybody's got any questions for myself or Alan, please leave a comment below. And thanks for joining us today. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.